What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Patio. My name's Jake. You're watching RUMANDCOOK. I got a new toy. We're gonna check it out today. First off, we've gotta trim down this brisket so I can show you what it is. We're actually doing something today that I have never done before, and we're gonna make burgers out of brisket. For this, we're gonna use majority of this guy. Just looking to see if you've got any of those oxidized edges here. And I really don't. Just this one edge here, which I'm going to take off. I just don't want to eat that. So before we go too far, we're going to take this off just a little bit. Lots of people eat that. I don't want it. But looking at this, we've got a fairly big, or very fat cap near the bottom. Got a fair amount of fat here, but it's actually not too deep. This typically is going to be somewhere around, you know, that 80-20 that we're looking for. But we've got to get it ready to go through a grinder, so we're going to cut it into slices here. A lot of times in here you've got this stringy part. Bring this around so you can see it. I just forgot about that one part. So you see how this is all extra stringy around here? We don't want to eat that. I forgot. And you know, this guy is just a Costco choice brisket. Nothing special. They have not had prime briskets for about a month at my Costco. I keep going back and looking. So I'm not sure. The one guy told me they weren't coming back. I just can't see that happening. They just got to be a stock issue right now. It's hot and the flies are out. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut these about in half, both ways. And just like that, we've got a bunch of brisket that's ready to be grinded. And my pieces, just to give you an idea, they're about that big. So small enough they're going to freeze quick, but big enough that I'm not going to have to pass a whole ton through the grinder. What we're going to do is we're just going to throw them all on here so we can go in the freezer. Now I already have the couple parts of the grinder, the hopper and everything in the freezer. Well, not the hopper part, but the grinding part, whatever that's called, drawing a blank. That's been in the freezer already for a good half hour. We're gonna put this in the freezer for a good half hour as well, maybe 40 minutes. Got a couple other prep items to do. Just helps keep it cold, helps it grind a little easier. And damn, flies came out of nowhere. We'll get rid of these flies. Real quick, a few of you have asked how I clean my cutting board. Now between shots, I typically go and get a sponge like this, hot soapy water, wipe it all down. I'll scrub it especially if there's something like the brisket I just did where there's some fat that gets smeared out, and I'll scrub it down like that. Then I'll take a paper towel, wipe it down, and then I'll thoroughly rinse this so I know that it's 100% clean water, no soap, and then I'll give it a good wipe down again, and then paper towel again. And that's good enough between shots. And for the most case, if you don't have a big sink, that's a great way to clean it. I will, you know, after a weekend of shooting video, I'll actually use my double sink and I'll manhandle it around. I mean, this thing weighs 40 pounds. It's a pain a little bit to clean, but it's well worth it. And just give it, you know, a hot soapy water clean, and I'll put it on its side, let it dry. And you know, a little side note, if you're into cutting boards at all, you know, you want to put mineral oil on them. I do this guy every 3 weeks or a month, And if it soaks in very quickly, like within an hour, then I'll add a bunch more on. And sometimes I'll put a really thick coating on if I've neglected it for a little while, and just let it soak overnight. And then the next night I'll flip it over, do the other side, and I'll stand on the edges to do all the edges. And you know, this will last a very long time. These guys have a lifetime reconditioning warranty. This is one of the only boards, if not the only board, that actually has metal going through it. That's part of the reason why they're so heavy, but they're not going to warp. Nothing's going to go wrong with them. So they are an expensive board, but they're well worth it. They have, you know, a couple smaller sizes as well. I actually have a 15% discount code now. I'll leave that down below. But if you want to check out their boards, that's a quick tip on how to clean them. When it comes down to stains, I'll give you another video on that when I've got some stains, but there's a couple things you can do there too. Say hello to my little friend, literally. So this guy, I looked up the specs, 200 watts, super light, nothing to it. I bought this on sale probably 3-4 years ago, and I've used it twice. It's okay for small batches of meat, but it's really not that much fun to use. It doesn't have a lot of power, and it takes a while to grind. Really, I probably would have been just as far ahead to buy the grind attachment to my KitchenAid mixer. So, wasn't too pleased with it. Told you guys I'm going to be doing some sausage making videos coming up. Gotta get rid of this. Enter this guy. This is the meat 3/4 of a horsepower grinder. This has got some bulk to it. This has got some power. This is going to make our lives so much easier. So this is what we're using today for this. This is the first time I'm using it. But there is nothing quite like fresh ground burgers. We'll plug this in and let's get grinding. So let's put this guy together. This guy's been in the freezer. There we go. Put this guy here. And right off the bat, I'm learning my prep table's a little small. Here's our brisket sitting back here. Been in the freezer for 35 minutes. Let's fill this guy up. And I am using the small die. I haven't used this before. I don't have a lot of experience with the grinder. Like I said, I've only used the other one a couple times. I'm thinking I might have wanted to use the bigger grind or the bigger die, but these would be good for the first time. Let's knock this out. Right off the bat, I'm seeing real quick just how quick this thing is over the other thing. What a difference. And there you go. Now, as you can see, we got 15 pounds of meat. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this inside, keep it cold, and I'm going to vacuum seal some of it, and then I'm going to bring the rest out for burgers. So real quick before I carry this guy away. Once again, this is the 3/4 horsepower from Meat. I'll leave a link to it below, but they have a 500 watt that is a little bit bigger than this guy, then half, 3/4, 1 horsepower, and then 1.5. Now, I did jam this twice while using it. Like I said, the first time I used it, just brought it out of the box. And what I had done is I just put a couple too many pieces in at Meat at once. And what you do is, I didn't want to show you on camera because the flies are about to carry me away. But if you just undo the ring and turn it on, it'll just push out that meat, and you can put it on top and put it back together and just go again. That was just a little bit of a learning experience. To avoid that, I could probably gone with a larger grind first and then the smaller grind. However, if you just don't put as much meat in there at once, it's perfectly fine. I just went a little bit crazy. My pieces were a little larger than they probably needed to be, and just all part of the learning experience. However, once I figured that out, it powered through. So I packaged up all the meat, put it into about 1.5 pound packages, vacuum sealed it, threw it in the freezer, kept about 2.5 pounds out, threw that in the fridge. Now it's time to get ready to fire this guy up. When I looked at the meat, I was looking at the fat to meat ratio, and I bet you I'm probably closer to a 25, 75, somewhere in there. That's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna render out this meat because we're gonna smoke it. So first we're gonna start with some Bear Mountain bourbon barbecue pellets here. We're gonna smoke at 250, and we'll dial our temperature in there. Now you saw over here that this guy, the lid's been open the entire time. The real reason for that is because the way the sun was coming in, you would have been blinded. However, what we're doing today is we're gonna smoke them on here. We're gonna smoke them on here. I'm gonna start that in a little bit, but we're doing a little trick there to add some smoke into the meat. And now we're gonna go over and fire up the Komodo Kamado. Let's get our Komodo Kamado fired up. Today, we're using a half basket. I'll bring you in and show you what that looks like in a second here. However, we're using a half basket because I want to smoke the burger for a little while, but then I want a bunch of lump left over so I can turn it up and sear it. I'm actually going to be smoking something else at the same time. So I need a little bit of extra lump. Normally, if I was just going to smoke, say, some ribs or something like that, a quarter basket is all you need. Now, the one thing, someone asked me recently about what kind of smoking wood I used. I don't know why I never really talked about it, but this is what I use. This is cutting edge firewood. I'll leave a link down to it below. I've been using them for 3 or 4 years. I like to buy their mix box. So this is like, one box. You get 4 of these and you just pick your flavors. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some cherry, but I like them because I've got really nice big chunks of wood. We're gonna put that right in the middle. So as you can see, we've got a half basket in here today. I'm using the adjustable firebox splitter. This guy's got some rails. This slides. Put another plate in there, you can get to a quarter. We're using half. Got my wood in there. Let's put some Fogo. And what we'll do is we'll get out our grill gun, give this guy a quick light. Now the way we're going to run today is we're going to run with our lower full grate. Recently I partnered with Smokeware. I have a 10% discount code for them below, but what we're going to do, we're going to keep the inside clean. Just put that off to the side. And we're going to run with our half grate here. All right, so what this does, this allows us to put our meat here. We've got our smokeware to catch any dripping juices, and when we go into sear mode, now I've got a lower area of direct heat right over the charcoal. So now we can close this guy up, get it come up to temp. Since the grill blazer gun does such a good job of getting up to temperature, I don't need a ton of venting up here. We're only going to go about 1.5. And then on the bottom here, we're going to go to the big hole on this side, and that'll be enough. The great thing about the grill blazer is that we let a lot of lump. So it's not going to take a lot of air to get this guy up to temperature. The dome's already at 225. It's going to settle in. We want to get this guy heat soaked for a little while. So what I'll do is, if this guy gets up to about this 300 mark, then I'm going to start to dial it down. Now, to give you guys an idea on vent settings for 250, this is going to be like an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch open, and I'm going to use probably the second smallest hole. That'll give you an idea of how to lock this in. It does not take a lot of air to get this guy going. It's burger time. So normally I would use a medium coarse grater and grate up my onion and take the juices, put that into the hamburger meat. But unfortunately, I actually broke that. And I went to the grocery store and there was a long lineup and I was not waiting. So we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Now, I'm not gonna tell you how to make a burger. Everyone has their own way to make it. Everyone likes different things in their burgers. I'm gonna slice this onion up. If you go too big, it just makes the burger fall apart, but I really like onion throughout my burger. And as you can see, I don't have amazing knife skills, but the end result's the same. Here's our hamburger meat. Looking tasty. We will scoop some of this in here. Now I like a little bit of lean parents in mine. Maybe more than a little. A little bit of garlic powder. I don't use garlic salt or onion salt. I only use powder. And then a little bit of pepper. Let's make that a little finer. And again, I mean, you can put whatever you want in your burgers. All I care about is that you don't buy frozen burgers. I mean, if you're buying frozen burgers, get off my channel. Just kidding. Maybe. I bought, everyone's bought frozen burgers at one point in time, but I am a big proponent of making your own burgers. It doesn't take that much time, and the end result is going to be far better if you make it yourself. Clearly these are going to be some big boys, half pounders, and we're not packing them too tight. We're going to make them form, but that's about it. Now in a perfect world, I would actually form these and put them back in for a good 10 minutes to 30 minutes. It just helps them stay together a little bit. However, we don't have time today, so we're rolling with it. Let's get these guys on. Looks like we're gonna do 2 on each. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put these guys on the top half rack right near the stack. That's going to make sure they get the most smoke. We'll close that guy up. And let's put these guys on the Komodo Kamado. Dome temperature, we're sitting at 275. Grate temperature is going to be a little bit lower, obviously. So that's probably going to put us around the 250 mark. And these other 2, what I'm going to do is we're going to take them inside, damn flies, and let them sit for a second, because now what I'm going to do is we're actually going to start up our Lynx. And what I'm doing is I'm using my Trident sear burner, and we're going to try out these guys. These are little smoke packs. You put them over a hot grate. It's close to, in my case, I've got an infrared burner, so it's going to be hot. But if you're having trouble with heat, you can put them down a little bit lower. But essentially what you're doing is there's one little hole in here, and it takes about 5-10 minutes to get smoking. We're going to throw this in the middle and the back. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to preheat your grill, get it nice and hot, throw in the smokeums, and then within 5-10 minutes they'll start to smoke. I tried to do it with a cold grill, thinking that my sear burner was powerful enough to get it to smoke, because what I wanted to do is keep the temperatures low so I could kind of do more of a head-to-head here. Unfortunately, after waiting a little while, it just wasn't going to happen. I mean, it might eventually have happened. So what I did is I moved the pouch over here because I've got briquettes here, and I put the burgers on over top. They're looking good right now. So we're running about 350, almost 400, a little hotter than I wanted to. You can cook them however you want. I just thought if I could try and get them close to close, it'd just be fun to try it. But in this case, I just can't get the temperatures down low and get some smoke in it. So we're gonna let them go. So at this point, we are 130 on the Yoder, 132 on the Komodo Kamado. We're pretty close. Now at this point in time, I showed you how to grind the meat. We made a burger. You're in charge of cooking. I can't tell you how to cook a burger, just like I can't tell you how to cook a steak. All I can do is tell you how I like mine, and I don't like pink in my burger. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull them up to probably around 140-ish, 145, and then I'm gonna let them rest, and I'm gonna sear the hell out of them. Our burgers are 140. We're gonna pull them off and let them rest. So as you can see, color-wise, they're actually pretty darn close. This one's got a little bit more red to it. Obviously we're using cherry, so for those of you who don't know, when you use cherry, it tends to put a little bit of a sweet smoke on it and a little bit more of a darker color. So you can see this one's a blend. I didn't look up what's in it, to be honest, but got some good color. Went to walk in, the Lynx burgers are actually done. So we're gonna pull them off now. Now obviously they weren't in the smoke for that long, so they don't have the color, but they look good. They plumped up because we cooked them at a higher temperature. Now, unfortunately, I have a little bit of a complication. So this was supposed to be done way earlier, and things outside of my control got in the way, so we're cooking these late. So my complication is, I just so happen to have a 46-ounce tomahawk sitting in my Komodo Kamado. Now, the last thing I want to do is dial up my temps for sear mode and mess with that, because it's got about 40 minutes left before it's done. This was supposed to be an afternoon snack, late lunch. Didn't happen. I'm going to try them with you, but I'm not going to eat them all because I don't mind a reheated burger. But I gotta let this guy go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to dial up the Lynx all across the board hot. It sears really, really well. Let these rest, we'll let that guy get up to temperature. We'll sear them off real quick, and then we'll dig into them. Let's get these guys seared. We're sitting at 650, we're hot. Not gonna take long. Yoder, Lynx, Komodo. I don't know about you, but I actually like a little bit of char in my burgers. I think it adds flavor and character to it. So I'm gonna let them get a little bit of, not burnt, but definitely a little bit of extra char in there. So probably, I don't know, a couple minutes aside. Ooh, not even 2 minutes aside. That's about 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's the kind of char I'm looking for. Not a lot. Let's throw some buns on here. Yoder. Gas. Now these are hamburgers, not cheeseburgers. I'm not a cheese guy on my burger. We do need some mustard and ketchup. Now that's what I call a burger. Half pound, maybe a little bit more. Looking delicious. That's pretty good. Digging the char on the outside, I really do like that on a burger. Tasting a little bit of the smoke. To be honest, I was a little worried when I started to see the color and see them cook that there was just a little too much fat in them. Not too bad. I'm actually, I'm okay with that. Let's try the gas one. Again, great burger. A little bit of smoke. You know, it's a pretty intense smoke, so right over top of that, so you do get a little bit of that smoke flavor. I'm happy with it. The flies apparently love it. Need an enclosed patio for my YouTube career here. That cherry smoke is just popping. Fresh ground burger, must try. Take a brisket. This is choice. Yeah. Super, super happy with the flavor of that. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't matter what kind of grill you have. If you're doing burgers this July 4th, grind up some burger. If you can't grind up some burger this week, go to your butcher, ask them to grind up some fresh. It just, it's difficult to describe. It just tastes significantly better than buying prepackaged ground beef. Now that I've got a grinder, now that I've tried this, I'm gonna experiment on some other burger flavors just to see what I like. But the one thing I'll tell you right now is I don't think I'll be buying ground beef anymore. The one thing that we didn't get to today, and we're gonna save it till later, so if you're not subscribed, please do so. See the little smoke that came out of there? This is some ketchup. Trying to make some smoked ketchup. I had this years ago in a barbecue joint in Philly, and I was like, do I need smoked ketchup in my life? I don't know. Then I tried it, and I was like, oh yes I do. So we were making some of that today. Didn't make it on this video, but it'll make it on a video soon. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks as always for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you soon.